Wednesday. We thank you guys so much for joining us. We thank all of our sponsors, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, the Golden Diamond Source, the Get It's Gordon Group for all your real estate needs, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. John Rodriguez, longtime baseball fan here in Tampa Bay. He would love to see that Tampa Stadium. And Cafe Paradiso, our good friend Palatini, he too would love to see.
Palatini.
Yeah, Palatini. I bet our good friend Ken Hagan from the Hillsborough County Commission has been to Cafe Paradiso once or twice. Hopefully he's on the line. Ken, you there?
He's ready to go.
What's up, Ken?
Yes, sir.
How are you, my friend?
Yes, sir. I'm doing well, buddy. How you been?
Oh, man, up in it, man. Up in it. I got to first say one thing, because you've been in politics for a long, long time. And I sat through a full commission meeting yesterday for the first time. And good Lord, my man, you don't get paid enough. How the hell do you sit through those things and all the public comments? Whatever they're paying you, it ain't enough. That's crazy stuff.
That's an understatement. Certainly requires a lot of patience and a lot of alcoholic beverages, if you will. Kind of gets
I'll drink to that.
All right. So first question. First, is Tampa back in? Is Tampa available for business?
Well, certainly that's my desire. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been laying the groundwork with our team. So when that time comes, I don't know if that's going to be today, tomorrow, or 6 months from now, but we're going to be ready. We're having a meeting tomorrow with all of our partners, Mayor Castor, Eric Hart, the Sports Authority, County Administrator, and just to make sure that we're all on the same team. We're all, reading from the same hymn, if you will. And so I'm ready for that day. But again, right now, I do need to stress our primary focus right now is to ensure a seamless transition from Tropicana Field to Steinbrenner Field this season, working very closely with the New York Yankees, with the Rays, and with Major League Baseball to make sure that, again, that's a smooth transition, not only for the team, but more importantly for our fans. And I do want to give a shout out and a thanks to Hal Steinbrenner, Tony Bruno, and the entire Yankee organization, because if it were not for them, they would not be playing in Tampa this year. And so while Hillsborough County owns Steinbrenner Field, it's ultimately their decision. And they've been wonderful partners. And so I do want to thank them. But without a doubt, that's our primary focus right now. And a lot of work's going to end up going into that, particularly with the Sports Authority, with Eric Hart and his team. We're going to help out with operations and do everything we can to make this a seamless transition, to make it a successful season. I believe it'll sell out every game, and it's going to be a wonderful experience. So that's what we're focusing on now. But when the time comes, we're going to be ready, and we're going to be respectful of the process. We're going to let things play out over in Pinellas and St. Pete, and should that opportunity come, we'll be ready.
That's incredible stuff to hear that you guys are so proactive. And I think a lot of people in your constituents are happy to hear that. And I'm going to get back to Steinbrenner in a moment. We'll celebrate what's about to happen there, as I think it's really cool. But I want to get to the primary question that I get all the time. Does Hillsborough have any money? And I've fought this for so long. Everybody, it's a false narrative. I say it's a false narrative that has been promulgated by the Rays and the Times and everybody else. There was no corporate support in Tampa. That's a lie. I was part of that. I know that's not true. That there's no money over here. As you've said many times, there's no upfront money, huge bubble of upfront money that you can take like St. Pete did, but it's a pay-as-you-go type thing and a true public-private partnership where everybody benefits, unlike this terrible deal that they tried to execute in St. Pete and is falling apart. So the question to you is, does Tampa and Hillsborough County, with a willing partner that may not be Sue Sternberg, do you have the ability to make this happen and everybody says with the Bucks maybe knocking on your door in a few years as well?
Well, there's a lot to cover there, but the number one, the devil is in the detail. The devil is in the details, which I've always said. Number two, I've always stated that first and foremost, we're going to protect the taxpayers. We're not going to offer something that it's a raw deal. And in our model, it is creative based. However, it is primarily driven by creating an entertainment district that's fee based by every beer, Coke, hot dog is purchased. A portion goes toward the ballpark, similar model to Texas Rangers in Arlington. It would include, in all likelihood, creating a CDD where essentially the property owners are taxing themselves to go toward the facility. We'll be using tourist tax dollars that, again, have very limited uses, cannot go toward schools or fire rescue or law enforcement. It has to be toward infrastructure, stadiums or marketing, and then ultimately creating a CRA, a community redevelopment area, where, again, those funds are limited to that particular area. And in our model, I guess the answer is we do not have the same upfront dollar capability and capacity as Pinellas. I admit that, always have.
Mm-hmm.
However, the offer that we made last year provided significantly more money than the offer in St. Pete. However, it did not include the same upfront money because, first and foremost, we're protecting the taxpayers, and it's you use the term pay as you go, which is accurate. I like to use the term but for the development, we will not have the revenue streams. However, all the financial and economists that have been working on this model agree that when the ballpark is developed, the development is going to occur around it. It requires the team to put in more money up front and assume more of the risk on the front end.
Right.
But long term, they're going to make a hell of a lot more money. And so you have to have a willing and financially able partner to go with that model. And for whatever reason, both in 2019 and again last year, they essentially took their ball and went home and decided toward the St. Pete model, although by their own admission, they would earn significantly more money and be much more sustainable and profitable in Tampa in the long term.
Well, that's a great answer. So the answer is yes, you do have the money and the model that has worked in other places. And I think that's what's important here. It worked in Atlanta. It worked in Arlington. My co-host here, Tim, we've talked about this. It worked, right, Tim? And because there was a willing owner.
Yes, because there was a willing owner, and both teams, or both parties, the city, the county, and the owner of the organization, whether it was Jerry Jones or Ray Davis with the Rangers, were able to come to an agreement, and it was sensible for both parties, and it worked. And it didn't take all of this back and forth and all of the what we have going on in Tampa right now. And as an outsider not living there, it's honestly a little maddening. I'll be honest.
Well, it certainly doesn't need to take 14 plus years.
No.
And I spent several years ago, I had the opportunity to spend a day with the Braves CEO and toured not only the ballpark, but the Battery. And it was briefed on the entire process. And in a nutshell, they brokered that deal in 2 months.
Yep.
And two and a half years later, they were playing ball. They tripled their tax base. You see the incredible development that, again, that occurred, but for or only because of the ballpark.
Yeah.
It's a similar model, but the team came forward with their money up front. Let's make this deal work. And they had a sense of urgency. And for most of the 14 years, up until the last several years, they really didn't share that sense of urgency to get something done. Now they do, without question. But if they would have had that same intensity and that same sense of urgency years ago, they'd already be playing in Ybor City.
That's right. And everybody would be making money, and this would be a wonderful, wonderful situation. I don't think that's a point that needs to be just thrown under the rug, because all of what we're dealing with now, a stadium that that was well past its time, and there should have been more urgency. And with a responsible owner, in my opinion, they would have said this drop is not going to last. It's, and people could say all they want, like, who could have predicted that a hurricane would blow the roof off? Well, me, anyone with eyes, a fabric roof in Hurricane Alley. I mean, that's 10 years past its lifespan. It's pretty predictable, actually. So it happened, and now they have a lot more urgency, and which has kind of led to a lot of this. But a couple of the procedural questions. The SITS tax just passed again. Is that money usable for this particular project?
Yes. It would be. Now, I will tell you, I mean, we've got some significant, challenges that are coming down the road with respect to Ray J, Amalie Arena. In addition to that, I'm championing two athletic facilities. One that's an indoor facility that would host everything from basketball, volleyball, cheerleading tournaments, and then an outdoor baseball, softball complex that we've got our consultant reports. We set aside some seed money. And so those are projects, one or both, will likely compete for these dollars. And so that's why, candidly, we're somewhat in a time crunch or sense of urgency as well, as we need to know what what the needs are going to be so we can determine the capacity. We know we're going to have significant renovation with Raymond James Stadium. Unfortunately, the Buccaneers have not communicated with us up to this point as far as what they're looking for. So we don't know what that's going to be, but we do know that a renovation is going to be needed in the next several years. We do know if we ever hope to host another Super Bowl, that must happen. The NFL has told Rob Higgins and the Sports Commission that. So we know those needs are coming, and we just have to communicate, number one, with all the teams and know what they're thinking, what they believe the needs are, what their investment's going to be. And that was a big part of the, I will give the Buccaneers credit because I was heavily involved in the last renovation agreement.
Yeah, they
had significant skin in the game.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, they assumed all cost overrides, which were significant, and we improved the revenue sharing for the taxpayer. So that was truly a win-win all the way around. And it's
a willing partner working with you guys to come together for the betterment of the community. Wow, what a concept.
Absolutely. That's going to be paramount. And of course, with that, then we would lock the team in for an additional, 30 plus years. So those are some serious conversations that are going to happen in the upcoming months and years. And so we just need to the best extent we can, to be transparent, to communicate with all the parties and just know what the needs are. And then we can do our best to come up with the creative models to make it all work.
Ken Hagan joining us here, Hillsborough County Commissioner. And Ken, I have spoken to one person in particular that told me, and I vetted him, and I believe this to be true because he has the money. I can't mention his name, that he was trying to buy the Rays a few months ago. Also told me that he didn't believe the St. Pete Stadium would ever be built, and he would want to build in Tampa. I've heard Joe Citro and other people that have been in government say there are groups out there that are wanting to buy this team and build in Tampa. I don't expect to get an answer on this, but I got to ask it. Are you hearing the same things? Is this something, and is there a site in mind?
Well, first of all, the previous location is still available in Ybor City. So let's start with that. When things started to unravel, that was basically the first phone call I made. Hey, is this still a possibility? Should things work out? And that answer is yes. So that helped. And not to say that would be the only location, for potentially others. And we'll see. We'll see.
But you could use the same design. They already did a design. They spent all that stuff. The whole thing. Just here we go again.
Yes.
Wow.
So let's start with that, which is very fortunate. But again, we would likely consider other locations as well. Secondly, I'm aware of a couple of local groups in the past that were mobilized and that made an offer. Without mentioning names or people and things like that. One of them, I will tell you that the feedback from MLB was that they didn't think that they had the juice.
The juice,
in so many words.
Right.
They had, they're very wealthy, but they didn't want to get into a potential situation where you're not making payroll and all that kind of stuff. Right. My gut, my instincts tell me that there is at least one or more groups that's mobilizing from that, as we speak. Now, whether that's from a potential investment standpoint or ownership standpoint, I don't know. Again, I can't say with any certainty or give anyone's name, but I strongly believe that either is taking place now or will take place if things continue to unravel in Pinellas County.
Extremely interesting there. All right, I want to finish up by just talking about what's about to happen in Tampa. And again, this is no disrespect to St. Pete whatsoever. I always look at this as a region. I've never looked at it as Tampa, St. Pete, and others. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up here. I've lived here for almost 30 years. I've lived on both sides of the bay. I just see it as Tampa Bay, but I understand the provincialism. But I want to celebrate the fact that the folks in Hillsborough County have been supporting this Rays team for a long time, going to games and on TV, what have you. And now they're going to get an opportunity to support it with their dollars and their attendance. I spoke with Tino Martinez the other day, who played for the Yankees, played for the Rays, grew up here. No one knows the landscape better, has played in that stadium. He could not be more thrilled. He said those tickets will sell out in a heartbeat. It's going to be nuts. I mean, I'm a little afraid that Stu will price them through the roof and price everybody out, but hopefully that won't be the case. But what's about to happen here, I think, is spectacular. It'll be a packed house every night. It's going to be a vibe. And if a group comes forward and we're moving forward in Tampa, you are going to coalesce for 3 or 4 years in that really cool stadium, by the way, and moving towards something that is going to be in where it should have always been. To me, this is such a great opportunity for the Rays. It's what's always should have happened, and this team can move forward. And I hope, no disrespect, but I hope it's going to be with a new local owner or someone that really, really has the Tampa Bay's best interest in mind. I think this could be an absolute bigger than Tino's Grand Slam in the World Series home run. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, it's going to be a smashing success. I'm 100% to that. I played not recently in the last few months. I played golf with Tino, and growing up we competed against each other. And great guy, and I know how strongly he wants the team to be on this side. I was with Fred McGriff just last night, and we were talking about it, and other athletes, Jason Romano, other local MLB stars that have shared similar sentiments. And one thing I do want to say, and I'm going to give the Rays credit, in that it really, I mean, again, from a fan perspective, from elected official in Hillsborough County, I'm thrilled that it's going to be, at Steinbrenner Field right here in Tampa. But it really makes the most sense financially for the team. Steinbrenner Field is highest capacity. It's the most MLB ready of Dunedin and Clearwater, which are great ballparks. I go to a couple games a year, spring training games at those facilities. I love going over there. But it really, the Rays are going to get crushed revenue-wise this year. And this alternative gives them the best opportunity to maximize their already reduced revenue stream. So it makes the most sense. And that's why I don't blame some of the commissioners in Pinellas County. I know a lot of people do, but from an elected standpoint, they've got to look out for the taxpayers. They've got priorities. And for new commissioners, they shouldn't be asked to vote on something their very first meeting. I mean, we go through that every cycle with our board on much smaller projects, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, that a previous board approved, yet a new board comes in and they may have different priorities. So I don't fault them on that, but they made the right decision, and I'm looking forward to it. I think not only for the team, but also for the fans, and it's going to be a smashing success, and we'll see how things play out.
Can you expand that? There's a lot of room in left field and the outfield. I don't know if that's a retention pond or what. I don't know about the engineering, but there's room to expand Steinbrenner and add considerably more seats. I'm talking about maybe 3,000 to 7,000 more. Is that something that we're thinking about doing? Any other embellishments they're going to add? I know they're going to make it very Rays friendly with the temporary signage, which is cool. But what else? What can you tell us about that part of it?
Honestly, I'm unaware of any plans to dramatically change the configuration. Just being familiar with the complex, I think you lose a lot of seats by having right field and the way they have it laid out there. I guess in theory, you could eliminate some of that social sitting stuff, and you could erect temporary stands or additional stands there. I guess just think on the top of my head, but I don't believe there's going to be any dramatic increase in capacity. That'll be a conversation I'm actually going to see CEO Eric Hart here over lunch, and I'll ask him that. But I don't think that's going to occur. But one thing again, I want to stress: we are working the Yankees, the Sports Authority, very closely with the Rays, with the Yankees, with MLB to make this as smooth and transition as possible for the team. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Can't wait, partner. I think it's going to be outstanding. Anything else you want to say or that I've forgotten to ask you about this process?
I don't think so. I think that, we're going to continue to be respectful of the process. We're going to see how things play out. And when that time comes, again, I don't know if that's today, tomorrow, or a year from now, we're going to be ready to have that conversation, and we're going to do everything we can to make it happen, to ensure that the team remains here in Tampa Bay for generations to come.
Well, Ken, listen, I've said it many, many times. As I said about Tino, I mean, you didn't hit any World Series home runs, but you played some serious college ball at the Gators. You've grown up with this. I know it's something that's near and dear to your heart, and you're passionate about it. And just in Steinbrenner Field alone, it's going to be a great realization for you and many people who've grown up in this Tampa area that have been waiting to show their passion for this team. And I think it's going to be a huge success. So congratulations for your diligence and your courage in the face of a lot of negativity. You and I have shared a lot of that together. So I appreciate your courage. I appreciate your courage, and let's see this thing through. I hope it happens. No Steinbrenner didn't happen, but the big ticket, hopefully we'll see.
No, amen. And again, I want to thank you for your kind words and generosity, and especially for fighting a good fight, because you've been taking a hell of a lot of arrows here through the years, as I have. Yes. And I've just said you never say never, and the doors always been left open, and you never know.
All right. So, thanks, Ken. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Tell Eric I said hello.
Take it easy.
And watch out for snakes.
We'll do. Bye.
So Eric, you talk about Eric Hart of the Sports Authority, who's done a lot of negotiating with Stu.